The comparison I keep coming back to when thinking about Doom 2016 versus Doom Eternal is Alien and Aliens. It's mostly from the line from Ash, I admire its purity, in regards to Doom 2016. To be clear, Eternal is the mechanically superior game, and I do still enjoy it. There's just something about 2016 that makes it the one I keep coming back to. My main reason is the change in personality in Eternal. You aren't crushing orbs of energy to upgrade. When you grab a weapon mod from a robot, you aren't punching it and watching it slouch in sadness. No more grabbing a dead body and putting its hand on a door pad, or taking keycards from them. There's no more of you looking over delicate equipment before stomping them beneath your feet. So there is one good moment in Eternal where you shoot a hole into Mars to access an underground city. Secret items are now marked with huge question marks. Extra lives float just out of reach. Suit upgrade points are reverentially given instead of taken from corpses. Weapons are bright green highlights you find and pick up instead of taken from the environment organically. The UAC holograms don't have the same bite to them, as they're more concerned with pushing the mortally challenged joke, which isn't even offensive or funny, it's just kinda cringy. Samuel Hayden doesn't appear until midway through, and it's a welcome change to have him commentating about your actions just like it was in 2016, though not to a comparable extent. Doomguy's office has a portrait of him with a rabbit. He also apparently collects vinyls of the last game's soundtrack, and also has some guitars on display. It's, strange, and not at all what I expected. You picked up Doomguy figures and even accessed throwback retro levels in 2016, but the dolls were more subdued, and the retro levels were sequestered off from the rest of the game. In 2016, you could even sequence break and find weapons earlier than intended by finding the secret areas on the map. The levels in Eternal are bigger and split between cityscapes on Earth and other locations that go hard on medieval aesthetics. Along with those aesthetics, the lore goes hard on the Sentinels and Khan Maker, and all this other shit that I just don't care about. There's now repeated dialogue about how Doomguy is doing what he is doing to save humanity, a people you barely ever actually see or hear from. Doomguy exists to kill demons, and that is it in my mind. The whole savior of humanity just doesn't track. His glancing at a corpse in 2016 was to contend with Hayden's claim that everything he did was for the good of humanity, not because Doomguy was on some noble crusade. Eternal talks up how Khan Maker needs hell energy in order for her world to survive, but you only ever see her. There are no stakes to buy into. Eternal's script also starts to call into question the way Argent, aka Hell, energy works, which is something you could gloss over in 2016. Hayden wanted it to fuel Earth's needs, presumably cars, and you were like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Here, it's more like, ah yes, they take human souls and torture them to get pure Hell energy, and I'm like, what? How does that even work? In 2016, Hell treaded the line between actual, literal Hell, or an alternate dimension or space world that happened to have a bunch of demon-looking aliens and shit. This further detailing is not a big deal, but it shows how the game is attempting to be more about things that were mere plot devices before, and less about Doomguy kills demons. Full stop. In 2016, Olivia Pierce went hard on the cult aspect of the UAC and got warped by the demons into helping them invade so they can do what demons do, kill everyone. Now it turns out the demons are serving the Khan Maker. It's needlessly complex and detailed. There are lots of small annoyances in the way playing Eternal works. Throughout levels, the game will frequently cut from your perspective to show you a door opening or that a new demon has appeared. It's brief, but repetitive and really kills momentum. In 2016, you would encounter airlocks and doors that would slow you down and presumably load the next area, which maybe that's what Eternal is doing in these moments, but at least you were always in Doomguy's shoes for them. While I may often rant about silent protagonists and their uselessness in allowing the player to fully inhabit the non-character, I do appreciate that those games will often not cut away to something else that is happening to show you, yes, you can now move forward. One of the most annoying aspects is how often tutorials will appear to let you know what enemy weaknesses are on the default, developer intended, settings. Pop-ups to let you know to target this weakness for this enemy type, and interruptions to teleport you into a tutorial area, to press the correct button or complete the correct action before sending you back to the game proper. I really wish the default settings allowed the player to discover these things on their own instead of being told outright. It takes away from the experimentation and joy of discovery when you're just immediately being told, target X with Y. In order to counter some of your increased mobility in Eternal, they've included a new floor type, where you cannot jump, and they plain suck, once again slowing you down and hurting the momentum. Despite that, as I said before, mechanically, Eternal is the stronger game. Those annoyances aside, everything you loved about the combat in 2016 returns here and sometimes even stronger. The lower ammo count overall means you'll have to engage with the weakness highlights if you want to survive on harder difficulties. Unlike 2016, I won't be able to just blast through using the super shotgun and only the super shotgun. This means less play how you want and more use everything you have, which some have complained about, but I don't mind, as the unlimited ammo cheat lets you play how you want in that regard. The introduction of the flamethrower for gaining armor is great, as is the freeze grenade once you get the health boost upgrade for it. Once you get the super shotgun maxed out in its meat hook, which is already great by itself, burns enemies to help you net armor points. The same glory kill equals health system works just as great as before, and glory kills can often be just as great and brutal as you hack through enemies. Your chainsaw replenishes that first charge, so you'll always have it in order to gain ammo. A subtle change is the reduction of chainsaw charges to 3 overall, which means you'll never really use them for the larger demons. I loved having a Hell Knight appear in 2016 only for me to rip it in half with a chainsaw immediately. Now, you really only ever chainsaw the lesser demons, who are also no longer able to be rapidly meleeed for glory kills. In fact, without the blood punch active, your melee doesn't really do anything this time around. There are some annoyances with demon weaknesses, such as the toxic Mancubus requiring a blood punch to easily tear off its armor, but that also requires you to get close, which pretty much guarantees that it will do that one area of effect attack that knocks off a good portion of your health. A new dash ability is great for movement, and the climbing isn't something I ever really cared about one way or another. It never lasts too long, and instead of dying and restarting at a checkpoint when you fall, you now just get placed back on the ground with a small health penalty, which is great. There are many more enemy types, and I really love the graphical detail with them having flesh torn off and slowly revealing more skeleton as they take damage. Weapon upgrades like the heat release for plasma rifle work much better this time around, and is a favorite of mine, as well as the ballista cutting demons in half when fully charged. New trials, such as the Empyrean gates, are great, as they are optional combat challenges with much higher skill requirements than most of the base game. I'm also glad that the cheats can be activated and still allow you to earn the collectible and challenges present for each level without affecting completion progress, and more importantly, trophies. I know most of the comparisons haven't been in Eternal's favor since I'm working through and detailing why I prefer 2016, but that isn't to say Eternal is a bad game. I know some have been deeply disappointed in it, but my reaction is more of a, I appreciate what it did, but it's most likely going to be 2016 that I continue to revisit, as I already have been for quite some time now. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at number8axel, that's N-O the letter 8 Axel, and look forward to hopefully some more good videos soon. And one last thing, the Marauder sucks. Why would I want to slow down and wait for this enemy to flash green? How is that fun? It makes sense for a one-off boss battle, but it becomes a fucking recurring enemy. Fuck that guy.